Welcome to Kansas Ag Report. I'm Ken Rogers. On this week's program, our monthly conversation with Dr. Roger McEowen. He's an ag law and tax specialist at the Washburn School of Law. We'll dive into some of those bills that were passed recently in Congress and the implications it could have on your wallet. We also have features from Kansas Corn, Kansas Wheat, and the Kansas Farm Bureau, along with a weekly update from the Kansas Livestock Association and market information from Pinion. Kansas Ag Report brought to you in part by the Kansas Soybean Commission, the Soybean Checkoff, progress powered by Kansas farmers. Kansas Farm Bureau, a grassroots ag organization representing the state's farm and ranch families since 1919, kfb.org. And the Kansas Wheat Commission, lending in the adoption of profitable innovations from wheat, online at kswheat.com. Agricultural news, farmer sentiment improved in August as the Purdue CME Group Ag Economy Barometer rose 14 points to above its July reading to 117. Now, both the indexes of current condition and the index of future expectations increased last month. Producers less worried about their farm's financial situation than July, although they remain concerned about what possible cost price squeezes could have in store. When asked about their biggest concern for the next year, more than half of the respondents chose higher input costs. Other concerns include rising interest rates, input availability, and lower output prices. Now, despite this month's improvement in sentiment, all three indices remain well below year-ago levels. Finally, this month's survey revealed an uptick in the percentage of farmers engaged with companies offering payments to sequester carbon. However, just 1% of respondents said they've signed a carbon contract, with the majority of those choosing not to sign, suggesting that the payment rates offered remain too low. And U.S. farmers plan to grow 5% more corn acres next year, that according to a recent Farm Futures survey. The survey found farmers expect to plant 94.3 million acres of corn next spring. That's an increase of 4.5 million acres compared to this year. The survey collected data from July 13th through August 1st from nearly 700 farmers. Now, if the estimate proves correct, it'll be the largest corn acreage planted in the U.S. since 2013, when farmers planted 95.5 million acres of corn. The Farm Future Survey reports farmers intend to plant 97.3 million acres of soybeans next year, down nearly 700,000 acres from this year's crop. The survey also shows an increase in wheat acres in 2023, 36.6 million acres, up 7.5% from 2022. Combined corn, soybeans, and wheat acres, 230.5 million acres, according to the survey, up 2% from those that were planted in this year. Stay with us, Dr. Roger McEowen, when we return.
The Kansas Wheat Innovation Center in Manhattan is rediscovering ways to get improved varieties and new genetics in the hands of farmers faster. Grower-led and checkoff-funded research initiatives are bringing about positive change. This grassroots leadership provides a strong voice in Topeka and Washington, D.C. Now is the time to partner with Kansas Wheat in moving wheat forward. Kansas Wheat Commission and Kansas Association of Wheat Growers. Farmers investing in their future and yours. Log on to rediscoverwheat.org.
What if U.S. soybean meal were more than a commodity? If seed companies and the soybean checkoff built a better variety? That future is here. The time is now. To meet end-user demands, the soybean checkoff is investing in the compositional quality of soybeans, including meal. A message from the Kansas Soybean Commission, the Soybean Checkoff, progress powered by Kansas farmers.
Next time you see a beautiful field of corn, reach out and thank the farmers who work tirelessly to raise corn for livestock feed, renewable fuels, and exports to feed a growing world population. The farmers on the Kansas Corn Commission work for Kansas Corn with grower-funded checkoff dollars that support foreign and domestic market development, research, promotion, and education to expand opportunities for Kansas farmers. To learn more, visit kscorn.com.
Many seed companies claim to offer the latest genetics, But how many have tested those genetics in soils just like yours? The Oldie Seed Know to Grow research program has fully tested the latest seed genetics in soils that are right in your neighborhood. The Oldie Seed Know to Grow program can recommend the best performing hybrids from technologies like Enlist, Extend, and LibertyLink that will optimize the yield and profit of every acre on your farm. Contact Oldie Seed today.
The Kansas Ag Report brought to you in part by Kansas Grain Sorghum, growers working together. Learn more at ksgrainsorghum.org. Grass and Grain, online or in the mail, keeping Kansas farmers informed for over 60 years. grassandgrain.com. And joining us is Dr. Roger McEowen from the Washburn School of Law. He is a ag law professor as well as a tax specialist. Dr. McEowen, always great to talk with you.
Good to be with you again, Ken.
So another month has come and gone, but boy, there's been a lot of things in the news and a lot of assistance yet again coming from the federal government. But I think as we maybe talked a little bit last month, the devil's in the details.
Yeah, it sure is. And one of those things that I was part of a group that was pushing FSA to get a rule change, and it had to do with the Emergency Relief Program, or ERP. And that's the old WHIP Plus program. And it's just been renamed as ERP, and it has two payments to it, a phase one and a phase two. And we're in phase one right now, and probably in 2023 is when we'll get to phase two. But basically, these are payments that can go either to grain producers that have been disaffected by weather-related events, primarily drought, as well as livestock producers that have had grazing losses because of drought and serious drought. And of course, to qualify for this, you've got to be within certain farm income levels. And so, as you say, the details are in, well, what is farm income?
Right. And that, I think, is one that somewhat can be up for discussion, but it's all in the way you kind of parse it out, because there's some kind of alarming things in here.
Well, yeah, there is particularly one big one, but farm income for ERP purposes is not the same thing as accounting income that we would think about for purposes of a tax return. It does include Schedule F income and any pass-through income you have from a farming entity, and it includes wages from a farming entity too. And IC DISC income will count if you're materially participating in farming through the IC DISC. But also for not so much of a big deal in Kansas, but for places that have fruits and vegetables, your income from packing and storing and processing, transporting and shedding of farm products also counts. And here's the tricky one: gains from the sale of farm equipment count, but only if total farm income, not counting gains from equipment sales and the sale of farm inputs, is at least 2/3 of overall AGI. And that's really where the rub is at. And I was part of a group of tax professionals that were pushing FSA to understand that, we had a significant change in federal tax law under the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. And one of the things it removed were the so-called tax-free or tax-deferred exchanges, the 1031 exchanges, with respect to non-real estate items. So your tractor trades, your combine trades, your equipment trades, we can't do that anymore. Now, it doesn't mean a farmer's not going to do it. They will. It's just not reported on Schedule F. It goes to the 4797. And so what we were telling FSA was that many farmers could have a year where they've got large equipment trades, put that in quotes, gains from trading in farm equipment, but none of it will show up on a Schedule F. It's got to go through Form 4797. And since it's not in your computation, you're not going to be up above a significant that threshold to be able to include equipment gains for purposes of an additional ERP payment. You're not going to have enough income. That 2/3 rule is going to kick you out. And I think FSA has not changed the rule, and they came out in mid-August and said, no, that's the rule. We're not going to change it. And I think the same thing's probably going to apply if you've got custom farming income or income from harvesting services, as well as income that's derived from providing seed to farmers. Now you can offset that by allocating expenses, but I think you're going to have the same problem in those situations. So tough rule on the equipment gain side of things, but it's going to require some additional tax planning if we want to get that extra ERP payment.
Dr. Roger McEowen from the Washburn School of Law is joining us. We're going to take a break, come back, and talk about that other big package that was passed in Congress and what that could mean for you. We'll do that in just a moment.
Kansas Ag Report brought to you in part by the Kansas Livestock Association, supporting members' business interests and meeting consumer demands. KLA.org. Oldie Seed Farms, carrying soil-specific seed. Find them on the web at oldieseed.com. That's OHLDE seed.com. And Kansas Corn, building the future at kansascorn.com.
Grain sorghum is one of the most important cereal crops worldwide, and Kansas leads the nation in its production. Over the years, sorghum has been either exported, used in animal feed domestically, or for other industrial uses. Recently, its use in the ethanol market has seen tremendous growth, with 30% of domestic sorghum typically going to ethanol production. Kansas Grain Sorghum is committed to sorghum research, market development, and education. Learn more at ksgrainsorghum.org.
And joining us is Dr. Roger McEowen from the Washburn School of Law. It's our monthly conversation with him. And the other topic we want to talk about is that mammoth, just huge deal from Congress, the IRA. A lot of times you think about the IRA, it's an individual retirement account or the Irish Republican Army. But instead, Dr. McEowen, it seems like this was a reinvention and a backdoor way to get the Green New Deal in.
Well, we should all rest assured that Congress has declared inflation reduced by the enactment of this Inflation Reduction Act. I find that, I've seen bills over the years with strange names on them. My goodness, this is probably the most misleading, incorrect name of a bill. We can't reduce inflation by printing $750 to $1 trillion of additional fake money. It doesn't work that way. You have to repeal the law of economics to do that. But yeah, it is a backdoor way to basically do the Green New Deal in maybe a lesser version than what was initially thought about. But yeah, the creation of all types of new so-called clean energy credits, electric vehicle credits, extension of many existing credits, many renewable fuel credits. Of course, ag is interested in those, but they're thrown in here too. But the problem you get with this, Ken, and a lot of these credits, let's just take the vehicle credit as an example. This is a new $7,500 credit to purchase an electric vehicle. It has to be sourced with parts from North America starting in the out years, starting, this all starts in 2023. And so they stage in some of those requirements. So two things on that one. You create a $7,500 vehicle credit plus a $4,000 clean energy electric vehicle credit for a used car that doesn't cost more than $25,000. There currently, in terms of new vehicles, there are none that are currently manufactured that would qualify for the full credit. There are none. There are 72 electric vehicles that are out there. There are about 13 of them that would currently qualify because of the part sourcing requirement. Would qualify for a partial credit. None would qualify for the full credit. So that's the first point. The second point is basically I think it was 1 day or 2 days after the bill was signed into law, you had the major auto manufacturers in this country announce that they're increasing the price of their electric vehicles magically by the amount of the credit. So this ends up being nothing that will help a buyer because you're getting your money back to pay a higher price for a vehicle. So you've been made even, you stay even, you're not made any better. It's a subsidy for the manufacturer. with our tax dollars. So and the same thing happened with the education credits when they came in several decades ago. We saw tuition ramp up tremendously, and that's at least in part because of the education credits that are out there.
Well, there's a lot to unpack in this
Right.
and what we talked about in the first segment. So, Dr. McEowen, if folks want to read more about it and learn more, how's the best way to do that?
Well, I'd say if they have trouble sleeping at night, my 6,000 word article is on my blog that goes through all of this. And they can find that on my website. And that's washburnlaw.edu/WALTR. And then down the left side, you'll find the link to the agricultural law and taxation blog.
All right, Dr. McEowen, always great to talk with you. We look forward to talking with you next month.
Thank you, Ken.
Dr. Roger McEowen from the Washburn School of Law has joined us. Stay with us. We'll have more coming up in just a moment.
Imagine turning soybean oil, used cooking oils, and waste animal fats into fuel so amazing it drives U.S. jobs and our economy forward. Learn more about biodiesel at americasadvancedbiofuel.com.
Next time you see a beautiful field of corn, reach out and thank the farmers who work tirelessly to raise corn for livestock feed, renewable fuels, and exports to feed a growing world population. The farmers on the Kansas Corn Commission work for Kansas Corn with grower-funded checkoff dollars that support foreign and domestic market development, research, promotion, and education to expand opportunities for Kansas farmers. To learn more, visit kscorn.com.
Hi, this is Bill Johnston with Kansas Corn, and if you're watching this video, it's probably because you're doing the experiment with Kansas Corn about how light affects the growth of a plant. So I want to help you set this experiment up so that it works really well for you. First of all, we've provided some of these things, and we have these pots. We suggest that you put in about 1.5 cups of potting soil, which will fill it up right to the top. Then you're going to lightly pack this potting soil till it's about at the level of this ring right here. So we pack that the way we want it. And then we're going to put in 3 seeds. These 3 seeds we're going to put in about the depth to our first knuckle. So take the seed, put it on top of the soil, push down until it's about the depth of your first knuckle. All 3 seeds, and then cover them up and pack them real lightly again. We're going to do the same thing in both pots. So once you have these seeds in place, they're going to need some water. So we recommend that you put in 5 tablespoons of water. Spread it evenly so that each seed gets water. And then one of these we need to put in a place where there's plenty of sunlight, like maybe on a window sill. The other one you're going to put in the dark somewhere, maybe in a closet or possibly covered in a box like this. In a few days, those seeds will sprout, and we're going to see how light affects these plants. In research like this, you have, in this case, 2 items. You have the control, which is the plant that you're going to treat normal. You're going to provide it with everything you need. Like this one, it's going to go in the window, so it gets the water and the sunlight it needs. This one is the experiment. See, it's going to test what you're curious about. So the experiment is going to be the one in the dark that is not getting the sunlight it needs. It's important in this experiment that you treat both plants the same, and one of those things you need to make sure is that they have adequate water. You know, the one in the sunlight's probably going to need water more often than the one in the dark. So here's what I want you to do. It's pretty simple. Just every couple days, check your plant just by touching the soil with your finger. If it's dry, add a couple tablespoons of water to make sure it has enough. If you touch it and the soil's still damp, it has adequate water. Don't worry about watering it today.
The Kansas Wheat Innovation Center in Manhattan is rediscovering ways to get improved varieties and new genetics in the hands of farmers faster. Grower-led and checkoff-funded research initiatives are bringing about positive change. This grassroots leadership provides a strong voice in Topeka and Washington, D.C. Now is the time to partner with Kansas Wheat in moving wheat forward. Kansas Wheat Commission and Kansas Association of Wheat Growers. Farmers investing in their future and yours. Log on to rediscoverwheat.org.
In the United States, 98% of farms are family-owned, and Randy and Kim Fritzmeyer are a part of that percentage. After both growing up as farm kids, Randy and Kim established their own farm family with kids, Jill and Brent, on the county line between Stafford and Reno counties. Randy, as a fifth-generation farmer, raised wheat, alfalfa, stand grass, and cattle. Kim works as the Central Kansas reporter for KFRM 550 AM and operates her blog called Kim's County Line, where she posts everything from the routines of farm life to fun recipes. After a lifetime of farming, Randy and Kim made the difficult decision last year to retire after the 2022 wheat harvest. In addition to their careers, the couple is heavily involved in their community and Kansas agriculture. Randy has served on many boards, including Kansas Association of Wheat Growers Boards of Director and Kansas Wheat Commission Research Foundation. Both he and Kim have been active members of the Stafford First United Methodist Church and have been excellent 4-H leaders in Stafford County for years. Together, the couple was honored as Kansas Master Farmer and Master Farm Homemaker in 2013. Thank you from all of us at Kansas Wheat to Randy and Kim Fritzmeyer for your decades of service to your community and Kansas agriculture, and for continuing to share your stories.
What if U.S. soybean meal were more than a commodity? If seed companies and the soybean checkoff built a better variety? That future is here. The time is now. To meet end-user demands, the soybean checkoff is investing in the compositional quality of soybeans, including meal. A message from the Kansas Soybean Commission, the Soybean Checkoff. Progress powered by Kansas farmers.
Are you looking for Medicare supplement insurance plans? Now is a good time to look at your options with Kansas Farm Bureau Health Plans. A Medicare supplement insurance plan can help cover certain out-of-pocket expenses Medicare doesn't cover. Things like deductibles, co-insurance, and certain limitations that can be costly in the event of an accident or illness. With Kansas Farm Bureau Health Plans, you have options to Medicare supplement insurance plans with 4 levels of affordable coverage and service from an organization known for its commitment serving Kansans. We encourage you to compare our rates. For more information and to get a quote, contact a Farm Bureau Financial Services agent near you or visit kfbhealthplans.com. Medicare supplements insured by Members Health Insurance Company, Columbia, Tennessee. Not connected with or endorsed by the U.S. or state government.
Grain sorghum is one of the most important cereal crops worldwide, and Kansas leads the nation in its production. Over the years, sorghum has been either exported, used in animal feed domestically, or for other industrial uses. Recently, its use in the ethanol market has seen tremendous growth, with 30% of domestic sorghum typically going to ethanol production. Kansas Grain Sorghum is committed to sorghum research, market development, and education. Learn more at ksgrainsorghum.org.
The Kansas Beef Council is the official tailgate sponsor of Kansas State Athletics. As part of the promotion, K-State Athletics and KBC will showcase beef's versatility and unbeatable flavor to a dedicated and loyal fan base this football season. Prior to each home football game, a select group of Kansas beef producers and representatives of K-State Athletics will be touring the parking lot of Bill Snyder Family Stadium, looking for great-tasting beef dishes and handing out KBC and K-State promotional materials. The winning recipe chosen by the group will be featured on the stadium screens during the game, and a gift card will be presented to the grill master. Prior to the final regular season game, an overall champion will be selected from previous tailgate recipe winners to receive executive suite tickets for the November 26th Sunflower Showdown rivalry game against the University of Kansas Jayhawks. In addition, beef will be featured in ads during the in-game radio show and the Coach Kleinman radio show airing each week this season. K-State Athletics also will promote Kansas beef through social media, a newsletter, and other K-State properties.
Kansas Corn reminds you that E15 fuel is the right choice for every kind of driver. For the car enthusiast, E15 has higher octane. For the thrifty driver, E15 is priced lower than regular unleaded. For the nature lover, E15 provides cleaner air. For the shopper who buys local, E15 has more ethanol from our Kansas corn farms. Choose E15 for a higher octane, lower price, cleaner American fuel. Message from the Kansas Corn Commission. Learn more at kscorn.com.
Good morning, I'm Darren Van Vactor with Pinion Risk Management. This week's headlines were anchored heavily on the geopolitical side of things. U.S.-Chinese relations were tested again as the Biden administration approved a $1.1 billion arms sale to Taiwan. The transaction definitely bristled the Chinese as they voiced their displeasure through threats of retaliatory actions. We also saw Russia announce they were shutting down the Nord Stream 1 pipeline, which supplies natural gas to Europe until collective Western sanctions are lifted. The EU had been planning to shift their demand to other markets previously, but is also something to keep your eye on. Putin also criticized the export initiative that allows exports out of Ukraine during the ongoing conflict. His statement caused concern over the export bottleneck tightening up once again and in turn giving grains a boost, specifically wheat. 20-year highs in the U.S. dollar and a double-digit break in crude are both helping keep a lid on commodities for now. Things could change swiftly as our latest WASDE numbers are scheduled for release on Monday the 12th. Most are expecting to see trendline corn yields drop ranging from 173.5 to 168 and being steady around the 51.5 bushel mark. As usual, it will make for some interesting trade as we get closer to the time. If you have questions about the markets or something specific to your operation, give us a call at 888-452-8751. I'm Darren Van Vactor. Be safe and have a great week.
That's our show this week. Be social with us at KansasAgReport.net or on our social media channels. The Kansas State Fair is up and running through next Sunday in Hutchinson. Hope to see you there as we celebrate everything Kansas. I'm Ken Rogers. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.
Kansas Corn reminds you that E15 fuel is the right choice for every kind of driver. For the car enthusiast, E15 has higher octane. For the thrifty driver, E15 is priced lower than regular unleaded. For the nature lover, E15 provides cleaner air. For the shopper who buys local, E15 has more ethanol from our Kansas corn farms. Choose E15 for a higher octane, lower price, cleaner American fuel. Message from the Kansas Corn Commission. Learn more at kscorn.com.
The Kansas Wheat Innovation Center in Manhattan is rediscovering ways to get improved varieties and new genetics in the hands of farmers faster. Grower-led and checkoff-funded research initiatives are bringing about positive change. This grassroots leadership provides a strong voice in Topeka and Washington, D.C. Now is the time to partner with Kansas Wheat in moving wheat forward. Kansas Wheat Commission and Kansas Association of Wheat Growers. Farmers investing in their future and yours. Log on to rediscoverwheat.org.
Many seed companies claim to offer the latest genetics, but how many have tested those genetics in soils just like yours? The Oldie Seed Know to Grow research program has fully tested the latest seed genetics in soils that are right in your neighborhood. The Oldie Seed Know to Grow program can recommend the best performing hybrids from technologies like Enlist, Extend, and Liberty Link that will optimize the yield and profit of every acre on your farm. Contact Oldie Seed today.